Himanshu, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Himanshu Mishra. I'm currently working as software development engineer at Amazon, and I've worked as software engineer intern at Microsoft and Cleartax.
How did you go with your plan to like get into these companies and get such a good internship? So how was your experience?
I'll take a step back and I'll start from how did I started? How was I like? What was my motive initially, or how did I start in the first year, or stuff like that. So initially, when I joined AIT, obviously, if anybody who joins a college, the first thing they ask is what how's the placement, and like everybody is interested in the placement basically. So I was one of those kids. Like I was interested in the placement. I was there for placement, nothing else. No knowledge, nothing, just placement. And uh, Previously in AIT, the year we joined, so there were a few people. There was one senior who got into coordination, Ankit Verma sir, and there were a few more people who got placed in some of the good companies. Basically, I didn't care much about companies. I only cared about the amount of package, the CTC. So like 35 lakhs, 24 lakhs. So I used to hear about those packages, and I was like very fascinated about like what I can do if someone. The first thought in my mind was if someone can do it, I can do it. So yeah, that's how I started. So how did I got into these companies? Like the I started for placement. So my basic motivation for starting competitive programming was
You have been doing competitive programming in college for 3 years. I think you started from the first year onwards when you joined the college. You started doing competitive programming on Hacker Rank, and then you shifted to Code Forces and then all other platforms. So, what was your initial motivation to start competitive programming? And did you enjoy the process of solving problems, or was it some other motivation that made you do it, or it was something else that you did it so seriously and you participated in so many contests, and what was the main motivation behind all of that?
so sure. So the initial motivation was only placements only. I wanted the money. That's it. I wanted to get into some company where I can earn something like 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, something like that. So yeah, my initial motivation was that. So I reached out to a few of my seniors and I asked them what I can do to get into these companies, these big name companies. And the first answer I got from everybody was competitive programming. So I got into competitive programming for this reason only. But once I started solving problems, once I started doing HackerRank, at that time actually in our college, not a lot of people were doing competitive programming in our batch. So there was not much competitiveness among us. So my motivation was solely placements. And once I started doing that, uh, so I started enjoying problem solving. Other than that, few people started solving problems as well. So I was like, there's a score system in HackerRank, so I started solving for that. So I wanted to be the person who has the highest score in the college. So that's how I started. Later, I got to introduce to Code Forces, and that was game changer because that was the real competition. So yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
started.
Yeah, so and also in competitive programming, like we have two types of contest. Like there is a long contest, like in Code Chef, that is the monthly long contest that they organize, and then there are short contests. So, what do you think? Like, which was more improving in the sense your problem solving? Was it the short contest or the long contest? What is the contrast between each of these two types?
So I won't choose any one of them. I was more into short contest, to be honest. But I did some long contests as well. So I participated in few of the long challenges. And the good thing about long challenges used to be like I used to spend nights, like whole night, to solve just one problem, and that was something like that is something very motivating when you have already spent like 5 hours, 6 hours on a problem. You really want to solve it. Now you have already spent so much time, so you don't want to just give it up. So that was one of the good things about long contest. You'll get to learn a lot. In short contest, if you're up solving, then only you get to learn something new. But no, there are more factors like solving problems under pressure, under time constraints. These are some things which are present in short contests. But in long contests, what you get to learn is new concepts. So you actually go out of your comfort zone and you try to learn something new. And you like I remember I have submitted like 67 solutions to a problem in a long contest, and eventually I was able to solve it. And that was like I was on the seventh sky, what you call it, like I was in heaven basically. So yeah, so long contest, I believe one should do both long contest and short contest. Later, I lost interest in long contest because the initial problems used to be very easy. So what I used to do was directly jump on the sixth problem or seventh problem, and if I was able to solve sixth or seventh problem, I used to leave the long contest. Like that was it for me. That's what I was there for, and that started affecting my ratings, and that's how I lost interest in long contests later. But yeah, short contests were always very interesting because they were like very furious. People from my college were used to participate in it, so there was always this motivation that I have to come first, at least among my batchmates. So yeah.
Yeah. So actually, you performed really well, like in competitive programming during your college life. So, and also you have been a problem setter. You have also organized contests for your college. Like there have been events like Code Red, and you have been a problem setter, and you have organized the contest. So, like, how was the journey of being from a competitive programmer who solves problem to now you're setting your own problems, you're creating test cases. So, like, how did you go into that field? And you have also set problems on CodeChef as well. So, how was that?
So initially, one of my seniors asked me to create one easy problem for one of the tech festivals in our college. So it used to be called Tech Solutions, I guess. So I started like creating problems, and he asked me for one problem, and I created two problems. So he was quite happy. Like the problems were good and not perfect. Obviously, I there were a few test cases. Like I could have created better test cases, but it was a great learning. That one contest. So that was the beginning, and at that time, I realized that. I mean, I can create problems as well. This is a great thing to do. I mean, you get to think about so many solutions. It's not about one solution which passes the all the test cases. It's about how many solutions can be there and how can you stop suboptimal solutions. You want only the most optimal solution to be to get accepted basically. So yeah, so that's how I started. And later on CodeChef, I got to know about CodeChef. Like I can be a problem setter, and I have set problems for three of the long contests in past. So that was also an amazing. Like it was more like an adventure. Why I would call it an adventure, because after setting the first problem I realized that people will try anything to solve the problem, like brute force, and you can't imagine the kind of solutions they will submit. So yeah, for second and third problem I was able to make better test cases, and that was a great learning as well.
Yeah.
So so money was also one of the motivations there. Like for setting problems on CodeChef, you get some money, but it was just for the first problem only. After setting, like people get to know about you. Like people, it's a great feeling to see people solving a problem you have created.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So, how much was the money that you got from setting problems on CodeChef, if I may
I
ask?
don't. Sure. So I don't remember exactly. So initially, my first problem was easy problem. So I got like around something around 2000, which was a good money in being
Yeah.
in college. That's a good money. And for my second and third problems, I got like around 5000 or something, because they were better problems. So yeah.
Yeah. Actually, because I did internship in a startup and I used to get 5,000 per month as internship, uh, as the stipend, and you just you created a problem and you got that amount of money. So that was really
Yeah.
cool. And
Okay.
most people, they face problem like they start competitive programming and they improve initially, but a point comes like when they are not improving, like they keep on trying but their graph, like it becomes stable and they don't improve much. So like people ask these questions to top competitive programmers, like how to cross that barrier. So what suggestions would you give to those people, like how they can keep on improving in competitive programming and don't just stop at that barrier?
Okay, so I will like take this chance to highlight something which usually I believe which usually doesn't get highlighted so much. So the problem you just asked, like getting stuck at a level, you just get stuck at a level, and the problem basically is you get satisfied. You like for me the limit was being expert. So all my seniors, all the people I've seen in my college were experts, and they were able to get some good placements. And my initial motive was placement only. So so initially I made my role models, like they were my role models only. So yeah, so my goal was kind of get to the expert level, and which I got in second year, second sem. And I believe after that I didn't progress so much because people around me were not getting into candidate masters, that space of candidate master. And that was a bummer because I believe if somebody was candidate master at that time, I would have tried for sure to get to become candidate master. So yeah, so this doesn't get highlighted enough. Like everybody will tell you try, work hard and this and that, but nobody actually acknowledges this, that the peer the competition you get from your peer is actually something which matters, which actually matters a lot. So yeah, so
Yeah.
I'll say ki get yourself into a crowd who are actually competitive. It's good to be competitive in this field. If people are actually like, I have friends who are my very close friends, but I wanted to beat them in contest, and that's what drives you. That should be there, I believe. So yeah, so like to improve above that level, either you have to get above that level, you have to get into that mindset that you have to become a candidate master, I have to go to Div 1, or get with the people who are actually in Div 1, and that would really
Yeah,
help. And
actually,
second thing, upsolving, like that's a very
yeah,
common answer, like you will get it everywhere. Upsolving is something you should be doing. So yeah.
yeah, and also like I agree with all your points. Like you need to have a fire in you that like you want to improve, and also it's like people once uh, some people like they solve problems of the same difficulty. Like they think that I'm solving so many problems, but still I'm not improving. They tell like I have
Right.
solved 1,000 problems, but still I'm an expert. And they see some people who have solved 500 problems and they're candidate master or they're master. So
I
I
agree.
think like they should gradually increase the difficulty level. So they should get out of their comfort zone and solve those problems that they're not able to solve. So that will also help them.
I
Yeah.
totally agree. Like I've been compared to people with like people have came to me and told me that XYZ has solved so many problems, and my answer always used to be, what matters is rating. Like if you get to that rating, then you don't need to tell people like you have solved 1,000 problems or 2,000 problems or 3,000. I don't care about number of problems you solved, and it's not like I don't like that person or something. And one more thing. In competitive programming, solving problems is one thing. You get to solve problems, yeah, but mindset is also a very important one. You have to be in that mindset that you have to accept that you will hit rock bottom, and you will have to work to get better. And this is very important because there have been times where I've thought I can't do it, this is not for me. Like, I can't do it, I've been doing it for 2 years, and I can't even solve div 2a. Like I can't do it. I've felt that so many times, and there were people around me who told me that it's okay, you can do it, obviously you've done so much better. So yeah, being surrounded by right people is one of the important things for being good at competitive learning.
And like there is one more question that people mostly ask, like some people just start learning the difficult data structures like segment trees, tries, and when they just start competitive programming. So,
Mhm.
like, how should people go? Should they first start algorithms? They should learn all the algorithms, then they should start solving the problems, or it's like they should start solving and learn when they encounter a particular data structure, or like they should learn it initially and then. So, what would be your suggestion on that?
I'd say both the techniques will work. You can solve, you can learn things once you encounter them, and you can go with this also, like learning something and solving problems on that topic only for some time. I've done both of the things, but so so it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Like you can, it's about learning things, and you have to be very clear that few things are tools and few things are skills, and you need to work on skills because tools are something you can learn at any point, like segment tree or bit or uh, like the DSU or these data structures are just tools. These tools can be used to solve a problem, but when to apply this algorithm, how will you get the intuition to solve this problem? This is skill, and one should invest his time, his or her time, in learning these skills only. So that's very important. Like this differentiation is very important. You have to be very clear about what is skill, what is tool, and both are very important. But skill takes time. Tools don't take much time to learn.
Yeah, and like in India, there is a craze like if you want to into a good software company, then competitive programming is a must. Like if you see today on code forces, the number of people from India are highest, and after that there is China and other countries. So
Very
don't you think like everyone is just running behind our competitive programming with just one goal, that is to get a good job? So is it the only way to crack the interview at a good product based company, or like they can go ahead with projects and something else, or they should just focus on doing competitive programming throughout their engineering or whatever course they're doing?
Um, so this is very controversial topic, and I would again say something which is like doesn't get acknowledged. I'm not sure why. You can't do just one thing, and you can like you will expect that I can do competitive programming. I can be best at competitive programming, and some company will take me as an employee. That's not true. You have to do both of things. You have to balance. Like I've spent a lot of time doing competitive programming. At the same time, I had some good projects. I did some good projects because this was something like you have to have this thing inside you that I need to create something. I want to create. If I face something, if face some problem, I need to solve it. And if I can solve it using something I developed, that is very good. You should do it. So yeah. I would say go behind competitive programming or just do projects. You have to do both of them because competitive programming is something which helps you in identifying how you can optimize your code. At the same time, project development or product development uh, teaches you how to write maintainable code, which is also very important. So both things are very important. You have to balance those things. There's no other option.
Yeah, that's right. And also, like, what was your transition like in your college life? You used to do competitive programming, like you used to focus on writing the most efficient code that can pass all the test cases in the fixed time limit, and then now you're working at a company and you have to write like production level code. So, what was the difference like in your programming? How you used to do it earlier and now? So, what are the changes that you felt like you need to make in your programming, and how your thinking changed? And yep, that's
Right. So earlier it was mostly about how optimized code I can write, like and stuff like that, like stuff like using if I can use somewhere bitwise or, and I have another option as well, which is way simpler than bitwise or, but I'll go with bitwise or because it looks cool. Like I was a guy with this mindset,
yeah.
but after getting into industry, after working for Microsoft, Cleartax, and Amazon, I understood this point that at this point I'll always choose the simple code, no matter what. So if even a complicated code gives me a bit better runtime or space time, I'll go with simpler code because maintaining code is a big problem in software industry. You work at something, and someday you'll leave the company, and someone else will come there and read your code, and your code should be so simple that anybody can understand it in first go. So yeah, so these things I learned only after joining company. So this was one of the major factors which I had to learn during this transition from being a competitive programmer to a software developer. So there's a lot of things you need to learn. Like even variable naming seems used to seem so stupid to me. Like how does it matter if it's A, B, C, or is something, is that, get something. So yeah, but now I know it really matters. Like how, if your code is something which actually tells me what it's doing, just if I can understand just by reading your code what it's doing, it's way better than an very optimal code. uh, so yeah, but still at still point, like you have to make this trade off, whether you want to go with something optimal or with simpler. So yeah, it's
And
very subjective actually.
so, and like there is one more like a controversial topic, like what people think that like during engineering, so if they are from computer science background, they just focus on their programming skills and they neglect their academics, their marks that they are getting in semesters. So
Right.
I think you have also faced that problem. So what would
Right.
be your suggestion to people like who have just joined college, and how should they go ahead? Like, should they balance both, or what should they give more priority to?
So okay, so being very honest here, so you have to, it's again very subjective. You have to be very clear what you want. I mean, I was very clear from the beginning. I want to join a big company. I don't want to go for higher studies. I don't like, so marks were not something which I was like too concerned about. So but at the same time I used to like see people around me who used to study for like a week before exam and used to get like way better marks than me. But it's very subjective again. Like people, they were like very smart people. So yeah, that's something. So but it's a, as I said, it's very subjective. You have to be very clear. It depends on person. If I wanted to go for higher studies, I would have given way much like more attention to my academics. So yeah, so there were few subjects which were very fascinating for me. So they were like automatically I used to study them. Like there was one subject, data structure, DSA, and another DSGT, discrete structures and graph theory. That was very interesting. And then talk, that was theory of computing. So these were the subjects I was very interested in. Then there were a few hardware related subjects which I never liked. I just used to learn things before one night before exams and pass them. So if like someone is watching this video and wants to get motivated for academics, I'm not the right person.
Yeah, okay, but still, like you're working at, so they just they the people just think like what you are now. Like it doesn't matter like what you have gone through in your journey. What people just see like you are now working at a good company, so you must have done everything good. So
Right.
like they just want to follow your like your steps. So it's like this. So it
Like
would,
I wouldn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest that. Like especially in academics, I was not very. Uh, During my second year, I was among top 10 students in my college and in my class. During my third year, I was among the last 5 students in my class. So it was more about what I was targeting. And in my third year, I was completely focused on placements and internship and things like that. So I didn't really care about academics. And in the fourth year as well, I was able to score good marks. So yeah, if I would say if you are going for higher studies, if you want to go for higher studies at some point, marks do matter, and you should give some attention to academics. Like you should give proper attention to academics. Yeah.
So yeah, so at last, like I want to ask, like, what are the three tips that you would like to give to people who want to work at a very good company like yours, like Amazon or Google or Microsoft? So what are the three things that you would suggest a person who is just going to join a college or he's in first year? Like, how should he go ahead with it? Only 3 points.
You've put me on a spot. You should have already told me previously. I would have prepared this, but okay. I think like the first three things which come to my mind is you should have a plan. That's very important. You should have a plan. You should be very clear about what you want and how can you get it. And if you need to contact someone for it, like if you don't know how you can get it, so so you should talk to your seniors and like get to the right people to know about it. So initially the first important thing is what. So what you want to do, why is important for yourself, why you want to do it. That's not important for the process. And second important thing, which is very important thing, how. And sometimes you won't be able to figure out how, so you should get to the right people and understand how you can do it. This was the first suggestion. So, and second suggestion is nothing comes easy. So, if you have already like made your mind, you want to do it, and if especially if you are from a tier three college, so you should work hard. You have to work hard. There's no other option. You have to. The competition is with all over, like whole, not just country, with the whole world. So you have to think like that. You have to work hard to get into any of these companies. Like cracking interviews are, like, at some point it becomes easy. Like if I ask you difficult is cracking how difficult is cracking an interview, or you'd say it's very easy. I'm very sure you'll say it's very easy because you are at this point where you have already learned so much. So now it's not difficult for you, but it's not that easy. Being third point is this third point is basically for final year students. So that is, you should do mock interviews if you want to get into a good company. Doing mock interviews is very very helpful. You get to know about, so cracking an interview is not just about what you know, it's also about how you present it. And I'm not saying like you have to be very good at presentation, but you have to be very clear about what you're saying. You need to be very clear about what you're saying. So, so that the interviewer and you are at the same page, and that's very important. So, doing mock interviews is something which helped me in like getting into Microsoft, Cleartax, or Amazon, and or I was able to crack actually 4 or 5 companies in my final year, and that I like give a lot of credit to uh, mock interviews for that, for sure.
Yep. So I think it was a very nice talking to you, and the people who will watch this video will be very motivated, and like they will have a sense of path what they should follow, like how. So thank you, Himanshu, for giving your time,
I
and
hope so.
to people
Yeah.
who will learn a lot from you. Thanks a lot.
No
मैं तेरे से और कुछ पूछना चाहिए ठीक है